I'm Kieran Anderson, Group Publisher here at Applied Radiology, and we are here at our booth here at RSNA 2024. So excited to have Dr. Woojin Kim in our booth, who is the Chief Medical Officer of the American College of Radiology and Data Science Institute. Woojin, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. It is a pleasure. And we are joined by Dr. Sonia Gupta, who is the Chief Medical Officer of Enterprise Imaging at Optum. Dr. Gupta, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you, Kieran, for having us.
It's really a pleasure. We're here to talk a little bit about enterprise imaging, and quite frankly, lots of things are evolving in this space, right? In the realm of enterprise imaging, effective data management is truly paramount, right? And artificial intelligence, let's be real, it's revolutionizing how this is all achieved, and AI-driven solutions are enabling the seamless integration of organizations over vast amounts of imaging data. I mean, it's crazy how much data we are managing now, right? From various sources, ensuring that healthcare providers have access to comprehensive patient records. Probably the most important component of that, right? So by leveraging all of this AI, enterprises, right, can effectively automate the classification, the tagging of images, streamline workflows, and enhance diagnostic accuracy. But moreover, AI algorithms can analyze large data sets, right? And to identify patterns and anomalies, providing valuable insights that support clinical decision making, and improving patient outcomes. And, at the end of the day, truly that's what it comes down to, right? The patients. So this advanced data management not only optimizes resources and allocation, but also ensures compliance and regulatory standards, right? So making AI an indispensable tool as we move forward here today with modern healthcare. And really, that's what we're here to talk about. Today, I have two amazing panelists with me. We're going to discuss the role of AI and data management in enterprise imaging. And I'm really looking forward to it. So let's jump in. I've got the best of the best sitting here with me. We'll start with you, Dr. Gupta. What do you see today as some of the most significant trends and opportunities in AI?
So over the last few years, there have been some interesting changes in VC investment in AI. It started off that there was a lot of investment towards diagnosis, AI that would do a radiologist job or help a radiologist make a diagnosis, take care of a patient. But in the last few years, we've seen more of a shift now with AI being directed towards administrative tasks and helping radiologists with all the non-clinical care that needs to be done. Every time a patient comes in, there's documentation involved, a patient record, and more AI is being directed towards that now, just to alleviate the burnout, because physicians want to stay focused on patient care, and we want to do patient care, and we need help with all the administrative tasks and all the documentation, and that's where the AI shift is going now. So I've been really excited to see that trend.
Surely makes a lot of sense. Dr. Kim, what do you see?
Sure. Since the introduction of ChatGPT in November of 2022, the world has been buzzing about generative AI, or Gen AI for short, and radiology is no exception. Everyone's been talking about generative AI when it comes to radiology, and people are coming up with a lot of potential use cases. But because the first use cases was around large language models, a lot of people have been looking at text-based use cases, right, such as taking the free text and converting to structured reports, automating impression generation within radiology reports, and creating patient-friendly reports. But the world has now evolved towards multimodal models, and so because of that, in radiology now people are looking at a particular use case, such as generating draft reporting automatically from images. And so automated draft report generation is something that a lot of people are writing about. And also we're starting to see commercial interest around it, and we're already starting to see startups happening in this space. And the other area that I don't think a lot of people are talking about right now is AI agents, or agentic AI. In fact, year 2025 is going to be called the year of agentic AI.
Really?
Yes. So what I mean by AI agents? Well, AI agents, what I mean by is these AI programs that can, perform tasks and interact with environments to perform a particular task. So we're going to see a lot of potential use cases. Next year, I think a lot more people in radiology are going to start talking about this. And I won't be surprised at next year's RSNA, there are going to be some commercial solutions out there that are going to actually leverage this agentic AI. So these are some of the exciting things, trends that are happening in the generative AI space. But let's face it, when it comes to interpretive AI, it's something that we are already starting to use in clinical practice, so we can't forget about those. And when it comes to interpretive AI, I think one of the things that a lot of people are getting familiar with is this issue around breadthness of AI models, where we know that you need to evaluate your models locally on local data, and so before deployment. So this ability to test AI models locally is becoming interesting, and a lot more people are interested in doing that. And also because you're not done once you do your initial evaluation upon deployment, that you need to continuously monitor these AI models because of the decay of the model performance issues and the drift. And so another area that a lot of people are interested in is, how do I continuously monitor these AI models? So these are some of the trends that I'm seeing.
That's really fascinating, Woojin. I would love to know, sort of in your role at the ACR, by the way, like today, how is the ACR kind of set up to support and leverage some of these AI trends and to enhance data management? Because it's so important. At the end of the day, we're here to drive better patient outcomes, and this is a tool, right? What are you guys doing?
So at the ACR, Data Science Institute, you are really working hard to help integrate implementation of AI solutions in real world settings. So there are several key initiatives. One of them is ACR Recognized Center for Healthcare, RTAI for short. And what that is an AI quality assurance program, allowing the radiology practices to be able to implement AI models and products safely and effectively. And we do this by establishing AI governance at local practices, and also maintaining inventory of AI algorithms and models that you may have at your local practice. And also, we want to help you with the security and compliance. And finally, we want to help you with the last thing that I mentioned previously, which is to help you monitor your AI model performance locally. And with that comes the Assess AI, which is a AI quality registry. And that allows the practices to be able to monitor these AI models. So that's one of the two initiatives that we're doing. But also there are some existing key initiatives that we have, which is, for example, with the AI Central, it provides that data repository where you can see, you want to see all the FDA clear imaging AI models and solutions that are out there. That helps practices to be able to make informed decisions when they decide, hey, which model should I get for what use cases? And along with that, the last initiative that I'd like to share is the Transparent AI, which is a voluntary program for the AI manufacturer to say, hey, you know what? We need to have more detailed information about your AI models, again, to assist these AI model purchasing decisions.
That makes an awful lot of sense, and that's a tremendous amount of resources, by the way, available to radiologists and practices around the country. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, so our goal is to really help practices to be able to implement AI solutions safely and effectively.
Right. No, really good stuff there. Thank you, Woojin, for sharing that. And, as a radiologist yourself, Dr. Gupta, as you think about the role of AI in data management, within practices today, listening to what Woojin just said, what are you seeing? How is it evolving? How are they using it?
Yeah, I mean, healthcare organizations have a task on their hands. We know the rate of imaging is increasing for our patients, and 90% of healthcare data is actually imaging data. So storing that data and then gathering insights from it is a great opportunity right now with AI, related to population health. And so there's a lot of excitement there that I'm really looking forward to seeing how we can help patients, gathering trends, from specific risk factors. In the past, we've talked about the diversity of data, using it for creating AI models, making sure we have a diverse patient population involved. So I think it's an opportunity, as health systems are figuring out how to store data, to add AI to that as well.
That's great. That's great. I don't know if you would comment on anything that Dr. Gupta just said there.
No, I think what she said was great.
She nailed it, right? Right. So, When we start thinking about some of these innovative solutions being employed to alleviate burnout, right, and the burden among physicians these days, particularly as it revolves around improving data and clinical workflows, Woojin, I'll ask you, what are some of those solutions? What are some of those like real world, where the, rubber meets the road type things? Because at the end of the day, like, we're all talking about it, but
Right.
it's really about how are we using it? How is it making a difference?
And you're absolutely right. People are talking about burnout issues and staff shortaging all the time, but what are the actual solutions that make impact, clinically and usefully? And so because, Radiology Report is a prime work product for radiologists, I like to focus on the Radiology Report. And I think there are a lot of opportunities in reducing physician burnout by addressing some of the workflow issues around radiology reporting. So one, area is measurements. So these a lot of AI solutions that are out there are doing the, able to detect structures and, lesions and then make precise measurements. But the thing is, right now, a lot of radiologists have to manually dictate those measurements from one screen to the next, into the reporting screen. Now, I know Sonia will agree that she and I didn't go to medical school, do residency and fellowship to be a typist or to be able to dictate one measurement from one screen and transfer over to the other screen,
Exactly.
right? That's not why we became radiologists. And to allow the radiologists to be able to practice at the top of their license is to have the AI measurements be automatically inserted into the radiology reports. And we know this is feasible today technologically, and solutions are out there doing this. So I think that's one way to reduce the repetitive, mundane, boring, routine tasks. And by doing so, I think it can really help with the burnout. The second use case is there are a lot of papers since the onset of when ChatGPT came out. A lot of people have been using that use case for generating impressions automatically. Okay, and since we've been doing this commercially for several years, even before ChatGPT came on the scene, I can tell you that not only does it save time for radiologists, which is the thing that most people think is beneficial, but I'll tell you from experience that it actually, the more beneficial thing is that it reduces cognitive load. People who actually used it will tell you, you know what, I feel less tired at the end of the day. So I'm gonna tell you like a real anecdote, okay, a real life anecdote.
Talk to me,
So-
Woojin, talk to me.
So I was told, okay, by somebody who used this, okay, a radiologist, and said, hey, you know what, I have to go to 8 different sites to do my, radiology practice and interpretations. And 6 of the sites have this, particular automated, impression generation software. 2 don't. And he said that when he comes home, his wife could tell the difference, knows whether he worked at one of those 6 sites versus the other 2.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that's where the rubber meets the road, right? Like I was saying before, because these tools have to work. They have to make your life easier. Otherwise, what are they doing for you, right?
Yeah.
And so that's interesting. What would you add to that, Dr. Gupta?
I think I would add, as organizations are moving to the cloud, I previously used to spend a lot of time waiting for images to load. And I think that was really frustrating. If you're, reading 150 patient exams a day, you're just sitting there clicking, waiting. And I think about how frustrated everyone gets when they're on Netflix and they click on a show and they expect it to appear instantaneously, and it does, right? But for some reason in healthcare, it took us longer to get there. We're finally getting there now. And so for me, it's really about just being able to look at the images efficiently and not having to sit there, because I think otherwise that's also an example where it contributes to burnout. You're clicking and then you're waiting for it, sitting there like thinking, when's it gonna show up? When can I start scrolling through my images and take care of this patient? And just seeing how frustrated everyone gets with Netflix, I think we don't want that for our physicians who are directly involved with patient care, especially if you have a surgical team waiting on you, or actual decisions that are relying on what you're going to see on these images. And we also know more and more of our radiologists want to live, maybe not where they're actually practicing. So, more and more of our physicians are dispersed geographically, and so they're nowhere near the scanner, they're nowhere near the images being acquired, and being able to access those images anywhere efficiently, quickly, I think is a great opportunity, and I'm really glad to see that, because I also do clinical work from home.
Right, exactly, and these tools are making that even easier. right? And that's what it's all about. So you got the tools, but we talked earlier about the amount of data, right? There's so much data. And what are some, in your sort of opinion, and I'll start with you, Dr. Gupta, some of the critical data management challenges currently faced by some of these organizations, right? I mean, we're not talking about terabytes anymore.
Petabytes, yeah.
It's big. So how are they dealing with it? How do they, how do they overcome some of these challenges?
I think it's a stepwise approach. It's not something that can be done overnight. And there's a misconception sometimes that the patient data would be more secure if it was kept on hospital servers on site, but it's actually a lot more secure in the cloud. There's redundancy, there's more security, it's more scalable, and what the organization's usually major challenge is the data migration. You've got to move all this data, all this patient data that was sitting on hospital servers into the cloud. And that can take longer than we expect sometimes. And then there's resource planning, IT resource planning for the hospital system, and figuring out their stakeholders, getting everyone onto the plan. And it's a stepwise approach. So some organizations choose to go hybrid. They move some of the data to the cloud, then gradually more and more of their tools will also come from the cloud.
That makes an awful lot of sense. And I think that today, certainly, you have to have a plan, right? You have to have a plan. Woojin, would you add anything to that?
Yeah, so I'll double click on a lot of things that Sonia's talked about, which is when it comes to cloud, I think I agree with you that it allows for easier accessibility, right? So with secure access, and also as long as you have internet, you can access data anywhere, right?
That's right.
So easier accessibility is one of the things, and I think it enhances collaboration through seamless sharing of data between users. And also when it comes to cloud computing, it provides that scalable storage and computing power that we need. So specifically when it comes to AI, because of generative AI technologies like large language models and other foundation models, there's a shift towards moving towards cloud-based solutions because of the increased computing needs. Especially if you're gonna train your own models using foundation models, guess what? You're gonna need a lot of computing power. And so that's one of those I think drivers when it comes to this. Computing is cheaper at scale, so that's one thing to keep in mind. The other thing is when it comes to computing and AI is that there is a GPU update cycle that you have to keep in mind. That hardware is becoming obsolete more quickly. And if you are wanting to maintain various solutions across multiple sites or even at a single site, doing that can be extremely challenging, if not cost prohibitive, to do using on-prem servers, right? And finally, I would say that the nice thing about cloud computing and all these resources is that it democratizes the access for everyone involved. So I think those are some of the benefits.
Yeah, those are really important points. On the flip side of that, however, right, physicians, and you kind of alluded to this, right, have to be aware about sort of the role of cloud technology imaging and what the trends are in this area and some of the challenges. And so what should physicians really be aware of? And I say physicians, but it's also administrators, it's also, the IT groups involved in these institutions as they start thinking about this migration. I'll start with you, Sonia. Any thoughts there?
I think they have to be patient. It's a process, and I think a lot of organizations have to figure out their governance structure and who their stakeholders are. You have a CIO, you have a CTO, you've got the physicians, like you mentioned, the administrators, the CFO. It's really a team effort, and they all need to be on the same page. All the stakeholders have to be aligned with the plan, and to recognize the importance of the plan for patient care.
Anything you'd add to that, Woojin?
Pretty much everything I said earlier.
Yeah.
I think I was mostly focusing on the developers and institutions and other support structures, but all those same points that I shared with you earlier also applies to what physicians should know about all the benefits when it comes to cloud-based solutions. And for example, one of the things that Sonia mentioned earlier was how come my Netflix works so much quicker? How come Google, when I search for things online, that everything comes up really, really quickly, but yet when I walk into my hospital, walls, through the doors and, in my reading room, how come everything takes so long? Like, why, why does it take, several seconds for me to go one case to the next? Why does it take me, a couple minutes before, I'm allowed to read my very first case of the day? And it shouldn't be like that. It should be just like the way you use any of your application, whether on your laptop right now or on your smartphone. Everything is instantaneous, and all that is possible because a lot of this stuff is, built using modern architecture, but also with cloud, backend. And so we should take advantage of that and bring a lot of our day-to-day applications to, the current 2024.
To the
or
cloud.
2025, I should say.
To the cloud.
Or to the cloud.
I want to add to that for a
Yeah.
moment too. Like, for the physicians using the software, it should be like Gmail. Whenever a new update is released, you don't even know that it happened. You just start using it the next day and it works. There shouldn't be this thing where we're just waiting or the system goes down or crashes because they're trying to add a new feature. And I think that's another opportunity with cloud is continuous patient care, which again is so important.
And so I'll add to that. Now that you said that, it reminds me of something, and which is, one of the applications that I use all the time is Grammarly.
Right.
I don't know if you guys use Grammarly, but
Well, my kids do.
I do. Yeah, I use it all the time, and it's one of those few things that I actually pay monthly subscription for. And I always ask myself, how come we still don't have that kind of technology when we generate our radiology reports, right?
Makes a lot of sense.
And so that's some of those things that, and that's also, it's based on cloud technology.
Of course.
And a lot of the latest, generative AI type of technology. And that's what I want to see in radiology, right? Because we don't want to just correct our spelling errors. And I tell my residents and fellows all the time, our referring providers, our patients don't know what we look like.
That's right.
Right? They only know us and judge us by our radiology reports. So if your radiology report contains all kinds of errors, some kind of dumb errors, guess what? Those errors reflect us. And I want to create solutions that allow us to make sure that we don't generate dumb errors in our reports, so that we provide high quality reports, not in terms of only terms of content, but also even little things like double periods,
Little things.
little
You're
spelling
right.
errors, when I'm an
noticeable.
MSK radiologist, right? And even though I'm an MSK radiologist, sometimes I mistakenly say metatarsal when I'm looking at a hand x-ray. And I go back and go, oh my gosh, why did I
believe
say
did
that? What was I thinking? And so I correct myself. But I want AI solutions to do that for me, making sure that I don't make those silly mistakes.
Right.
And so that's what I would say the benefit of these technologies are.
I think, once again, extremely good points, really down to earth, practical, right? Because that's the goal here. We want to simplify this process because it feels overwhelming to many people. Like those who've been through it, they know what it's like, but those who haven't been through it, they don't know where to go, where to start. So for a moment here, as we begin to wrap up, what would you say would be some of sort of the next steps if you were thinking about making this transition? And you alluded to this earlier, Dr. Gupta, where you said like kind of stepping stones, like maybe you do a hybrid or something like that. But a couple of just thoughts on sort of next steps for a practice looking to make this this evolution
The leap to the cloud.
Right.
I think it helps to speak to colleagues that have already done it, like you mentioned, and getting lessons learned from them, identifying all the stakeholders in the health system that'll play a part in this, and then again, I would put so much emphasis on the governance piece and the resource piece. I think the resource planning is sometimes forgotten, believe it or not. Because we have this idea that it'll be done really quickly, it'll be automated, but that's actually the end goal. Automated updates that happen overnight that we're not even aware of. That's the end state. But to get there, we still need strong IT resources at the beginning, and we need to plan for that. And that's going back to that resource planning and governance structure that's so important for starting the process, exploring the process, and making sure everyone is aligned.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. I don't know if you would add anything to that. Dr. Kim?
So real quick plug for American College of Radiology. If your radiology practice participated in the Arch AI initiative, so that you are able to do AI governance and participate in that, and also be able to continuously monitor your AI solutions through the SSAI. And if you are an AI vendor, participate in transparent AI, because transparency is becoming more and more important. So that's one thing I would say.
That is great. I think it's also a great place to kind of wrap up here. This has been an extremely interesting, but I think beneficial discussion, right, to have, because so many folks are out there honestly thinking about what's the next step. And you've been through it, and now in your role at the ACR, you're helping people walk through it. Dr. Gupta, in your role at Optum, you bring solutions, many solutions to your customers, and I think it's just fabulous. I want to thank you both for taking the time to join us here at Applied Radiology, here at our booth at RSNA to talk about these very important issues. So thank you again.
Thank you so much for having us.
An absolute pleasure, Dr. Kim.
Likewise.
Thank you for
Dr.
hosting us.
Gupta, thank you.
Thank you.